Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to Central News for Tuesday, the 27th of May. I'm Hilary Entwistle. First responders in a potential oil spill will be out practising their skills on Tauranga Harbour this week to ensure they are ready for any incidents on the water. The 18 participants in the course are mostly from Bay Plenty Regional Council's operations teams, along with the Port of Tauranga, Tauranga City Council and private contractors. Regional Council Manager Maritime Operations Ruben Fraser says all regional responders were required to re-evaluate their qualifications every 3 years. Bay Plenty motorists are being told to get their act together and curb all distractions while driving after a busy weekend of double-digit crashes on the roads. Between Friday afternoon and Monday morning, police attended 10 minor crashes in the Western Bay of Plenty that are linked with driver distraction, not focusing on the road and driving too fast for the wet conditions. The spat of crashes began on Friday at 4:30 p.m. when a woman lost control of her vehicle, ending up in a ditch at the intersection of State Highway 2 and Taupedo Street north of Katakati. An opportunity to make money out of the sea lettuce that chokes Tauranga beaches in summer is to be explored in a joint venture with Chinese, Korean and New Zealand scientists. Waikato University Professor of Coastal Marine Science Chris Battershall announced the agreement during the delegates' report to Council following the recent sister cities trip to China, Japan and Korea. The three-way deal between the Yantai Institute of Coastal Zone Research, Chinese Academy of Sciences, Korean Institute of Ocean Science and Technology and University of Waikato Coastal Marine Field Station at Sulphur Point will explore ways of turning sea lettuce into biofuels and other commercial products. There are unique challenges, among them New Zealand law, which blocks commercial seaweed developments. Irrigation New Zealand has asked NIWA to produce a map of where dissolved inorganic nitrogen levels in New Zealand freshwaterways exceed 0.8 milligrams per litre. This is the limit set by Board of Inquiry in its draft decision for the Tukituki Plan change, which will determine the future of the Ruataniwha Dam. The board has until June the 28th to make its final decision. Research found that all waterways in highly productive fertile plains of the country exceeded this limit. This was 10% of 622 sites mapped through New Zealand. Andrew Curtis of Irrigation New Zealand says reducing the environmental footprint of farming in New Zealand is critical. Now for our region's marine forecast. West Coast Raglan, variable 10 knots, developing Wednesday evening, northwest 20 knots. Your high tide is at 9:37 a.m. East Coast Bay of Plenty, variable 5 knots, fine. Your high tide is at 6:31 a.m. Just ahead, the Gordonton markets. Welcome to Central News. The Gordonton Country Markets are held on the second Saturday of every month and are gaining a reputation as being an ideal place for someone unsure of where to start when selling at a market. Co-organiser Karen Stroud explains to Anne-Marie that there is a lot of support in place for newcomers and a huge variety of stalls at the markets.
Karen, how many stall holders do you have at the Gordonton Country Markets?
Okay, so we started with 70, and that was on our first market, roughly 70, which was really amazing. And we're permitted up to 120. So we often have 120, and we have a waiting list as well. And it's dependent. Some people do theirs more so in the summer, with fresh produce. So it's forever changing at the market. Some people are there and are regulars, and it's always kind of changing with other people who are coming in, different products in different seasons.
What kind of things are they selling?
It's just such a variety. Obviously our heart is really local and fresh produce. So people come in with beautiful produce. I got a broccoli myself, which was just so massive, and it had been picked in the last couple of hours. So there's people making their own jams with their own fruit. There's beauty products. We've got people doing beautiful things from cupcakes, people doing wooden craft. We've got lots of people into winter food, which is really nice. Gourmet hot dogs and lots of fritters. I mean, it's just, as you can imagine, 120 stalls. We've got a couple of brothers at the moment who are roasting their own beans, coffee beans. They're making their own roaster, and we're the first place that they're actually sampling. People are sampling their coffee. We have mushrooms. We have lots of different preserves. We have homemade salami. Eggs, parongia bacon, beautiful smoked bacon, which is just brilliant in a meal. Lots and lots of products.
You also run different themes. Tell me about that.
We do. It's something we kind of are just really starting to really focus on in the market. The market was started with a real heart from the local church, Oaks Community Church, and their ethos is growing community. So they kind of said this is something that we could see as a real thing for Gordonton, for the local body. And so one thing that's really important to us is Easter, and we love to celebrate Easter. So we gave out 300 hot cross buns just at Easter's from Baker's Delight. They were just delicious, and we gave one each to the stall holders and people coming in to the market. Christmas is a really big thing for us. We just love Christmas, and it's a really packed market. Sometimes markets you can't actually move at certain times of the day, you know, in the eating area. So that's great, but there's different times of winter time, harvest time, quite often with a real country kind of feeling and theme, because we are in that heart. So.
And a percentage of proceeds goes back into the community. Fantastic initiative. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's something that we really have a heart for, and that can actually range from lots of things, from kind of community barbecues to nights for the ladies in the community, different events for families, and different things we support. You know, we support FreeSet, which is a group that work freeing people in India from different kinds of kind of bondage in their life. We bring in their bags for our country market, so we give money to a lot of kind of community projects as well. So it's something we really love to organise and kind of give back to the community. So yeah.
Karen, thanks for your time.
The Gordonton markets are held every second Saturday of the month. Tauranga Community Housing Trust is a charitable trust that provides housing and housing-related services. Historically, the Trust specialised in housing disabled single people and families with a household member with a disability. In August 2009, since the global financial crisis, the Trust broadened the criteria to include others in the community who cannot access decent, affordable housing. The priority now is households on low incomes.
Oh, I guess that's the main group of people that we would see on a day-to-day basis who can't access decent, affordable housing. And I guess it's not just about affordability, it's about suitability. For example, you know, we're seeing an increasing number of older people or people with sort of chronic health and disability issues, and they just can't find housing that meets their needs, that's warm, dry and has accessible features.
Can you give us an example of some of the houses that these people are living in? How bad is the situation out there?
I guess it varies. I mean, you know, we've had people who, I think, you know, in the last few days we've had people who are living in cold, damp houses, which isn't uncommon, and that's impacting on their health. Over the last few weeks we've had people living in garages. I mean, it's all sort of out there. A lot has to do with the housing stock in New Zealand. You know, that thing of being cold and drafty and so on. So, you know, poorly insulated, and you know those things, you know, increasingly impact on people's health and well-being. You know, particularly again for vulnerable people like you know young children and older people.
The Trust would like to see councils adopt a housing affordability policy. What's that going to look like?
I'm not sure what it would look like, but we would certainly advocate that councils do that. And you know, we feel very strongly that councils have a role to play in affordable housing. Not necessarily the delivery of housing, but certainly facilitating housing. The whole issue of housing affordability, and you know, a key factor in that is having good policy.
Why do you think we are facing such a lack of affordable housing?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's well, I think there's multiple reasons. I think it's a multifaceted problem, and it has to do in part in this area, I guess, because of the huge increase and change in population. I guess it has to do with our ageing population, and the housing that is in the housing supply doesn't match what's required. As you probably know, there's an undersupply of 1s, 2s and 4+ dwellings, and yet most of our housing stock, both within the private sector and within social housing, is 3-beddies. So yeah, I think there's a whole lot of factors. For us, trying to grow our portfolio, one of the major challenges has been identifying and securing suitable land in the central area that's flat and suitable for sort of, to develop.
You can find out more at tcht.org.nz. Coming up after the break, National Buddy Day. Welcome back. Buddy Day was launched in November 2011 in Hamilton as part of International Child Abuse Prevention Day. It is now expanded to Auckland, Tauranga and Wellington and provides a tangible way in which our community can show publicly that they care about our terrible child abuse statistics. At the same time, Buddy Day sends the message to our children that adults are there to care for them, love them and protect them. Anne-Marie spoke with CEO of Child Matters, Anthea Simcock, and asked if the concept behind Buddy Day was similar to the saying, "It takes a village to raise a child."
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no one group or one organisation that can protect children. And think about it, even for the statutory agencies, police and child, youth and family, they don't live in every street. They don't know what's going on. They don't know which parents are under stress and who needs some help. And the people who do know are the workmates, are the neighbours, are the family, are the team members and the people that know the pressures that families are under or the misconceptions. So the idea about Buddy Day is to get people to feel that it's part of their responsibility to look out for all of the children in our society.
Buddy Day registration opens in June for schools. That's kind of the first layer of 3 events leading up to Buddy Day. Tell me about that.
So schools can register in June that they're interested in having a buddy. There are a limited number of buddies. That's I think in the Waikato there's about 300. So obviously there's not a buddy for every single classroom. And schools will need to let us know that they're interested in taking on the project. And what the schools program involves is the developing and the building and the creating of the buddies in whichever way they come. We've got different ethnicities here, as you see, but they all start off as a white cutout. And as well as creating the actual physical buddy, they design a story that talks about who Buddy is, who their family is, what they like, what they believe, and just a general whole description of their personality and background.
What have you learned from Buddy Day so far?
Well, we've learned that it really resonates well with people. People who have been involved still tell us about what they think about Buddy Day and how they really enjoyed it and how many people they spoke to that in the street when they had their buddy or the conversations that started. And often these are fun, light-hearted conversations about looking after children. But we also know that there have been some very important and serious conversations that wouldn't have taken place. One person in a workplace said, "This has made me think about my neighbour and I think that child needs help and I'm going to go and offer some help to that family." That wouldn't have happened in, I think it was a bank, that sort of business. Yeah, so a whole range.
You've been asked to speak at a prestigious international conference on child abuse in Japan. Tell me about that.
So we will present a paper outlining what Buddy Day does and describing where Buddy Day fits in the whole spectrum of things that you need to include if you're going to have a community-wide prevention program. And we're giving a presentation, so we've submitted an abstract to the International Society of Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect. So we will be presenting amongst other professors and leaders around the world of interesting and creative programs.
What are you hoping the international exposure will do to Buddy Day?
Well, it could very well create an interest in the project and an interest in having it elsewhere. As far as we're aware, there is nothing anywhere else in the world that replicates this Buddy Day.
Are you looking at ways of preserving your intellectual integrity regarding Buddy Day?
I think it's something we have to be aware of. It would be great to have Buddy Day replicated and to have this program in other places. And how we can encourage that and still be able to do it ourselves and encourage what we know works so that it doesn't just dissipate and lose its power and effectiveness. So those are questions that we have to think about and ask ourselves, yes.
Buddy Day has been running for 3 years in Hamilton and last year expanded into Auckland, Tauranga and Wellington. Any plans for further afield?
We would love to talk about that, but that will be in the future. We don't obviously have any programs in the South Island. There are two major reasons for that. One is just in terms of resources. I have to say it's a costly exercise. We have fantastic support from a number of organisations who give us the materials, help cut them out and sponsor it, but we don't charge for Buddy Day. So to expand we would need more resources. And secondly, what we've found is that in Hamilton, where we've run it for more than one occasion, the depth of understanding is greater. The depth of knowledge of what it's about, what it's for, and the problem being something that everybody should own, has developed further in Hamilton. We've actually got 2 in 5 people now, and right across the board, whether they've taken part in Buddy Day or not, our research shows they actually know that it's happened. Close to 40% know about the event and have heard of it. So that's really great.
Just ahead, be bright to be seen. Welcome back. Be bright, cyclists. That's the message to cyclists from Bikewise, New Zealand Police and the Western Bay Plenty Travel Safe Team as winter sets in.
Be Bright is a national campaign through the Bikewise program transport agency in partnership with police, and here in Tauranga and across the Western Bay it is a cycle safety program as part of Be Safe, Be Seen, Be Bright, and it's about cyclists as we're moving into winter having lights on bikes and being seen by other road users to keep themselves safe. Yeah.
What are some of the other organisations that you mentioned that are involved, and what do they do with the campaign?
Well, nationally is the Transport Agency and the New Zealand Police. Locally, our New Zealand Police partner very strong with Travel Safe, and we also have partnership through ACC Workplaces and Toi Te Ora Workwell Workplaces as well.
You are holding checkpoints throughout the month. How are you going to be doing at these checkpoints?
Travel Safe works very much on the ground with programs alongside community. So we are holding 6 checkpoints across the city where the commuters will be heading home on their bikes. The Harbour Bridge, Matapihi Bridge, heading out to Greerton, the Mount, Papamoa, and we will be stopping the cyclists. And for those that have lights on their bikes, we will be providing other high-vis equipment if they want it. And for those that haven't got lights, we are actually there putting the lights on their bikes, a white one on the front and a red on the back.
You have held checkpoints already. Were most cyclists bright out there?
In the previous we've been doing this program for 3 years now, and in the previous checkpoints, the first year we did it, there was probably only a quarter of cyclists had lights or high-vis. We've noticed over the years that this year a lot of the cyclists coming through have lights on their bikes. Some of them still have the same lights that we've put on in previous years, and they are putting on more high-vis equipment as well. Some of the cyclists then take lights for their partner who may not have them, and we do have some young cyclists that come through on the way back from sports practice, and we've noticed that one of them might have lights but one might not, so we're putting lights on them as well.
What does it mean to be bright? What should we have on our bikes?
Yeah, we should have a red and yellow rear reflector that is visible from a distance of 100 metres when it shines on it. Yellow pedal reflectors on their bikes. If we do not have those, we should be using high-vis equipment. And when the light is dim or dark, we should have a flashing rear light, which is red at the back, and we should have a white or yellow one at the front.
To find out where the next roadside checkpoint is, you can visit tauranga.gov.nz. Now for the weather for Wednesday. Hamilton mainly fine with morning frost and light winds. Your expected high is 13 and 3. The rest of the Waikato, clear skies too with morning frost and some evening cloud, bringing slightly warmer nights. Paeroa, you have an expected temperature of 14 and an overnight low of 5. Matamata 12 and 4. Te Awamutu 13 and 3. Tokoroa 11 and 2. Bay of Plenty, Tauranga fine with morning frost and light winds. Your expected high is 14 and an overnight low of 7. Te Puke the same for you with 13 and 6. That is Central News for today. Let us know of any issues you think need addressing in your community. You can contact us at news@tvcentral.co.nz or like us on Facebook. We will be back again tomorrow night with more stories from the Bay of Plenty and the Waikato. I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.